Hello everyone, welcome back. So in today's video we are diving into something super exciting and trending in the world of agentic AI, and that is Microsoft AutoGen. So AutoGen is an open source framework from Microsoft that allows you to build powerful AI agents that can collaborate, communicate, and automate complex tasks all with just few lines of code. So in this video, what we are going to do, that is, so we'll first try to understand what Microsoft AutoGen actually is and how it works internally. So you will get a complete picture before jumping into the code. Then we'll move to the hands-on demo where we'll create our own AI agent that can generate a static website for us automatically. And we will give our agent a prompt something like create a basic HTML and CSS website, and in just few seconds AutoGen will generate the full source code for that site. Once that is done, then we'll open a generated code in our browser and see how the agent can create a working static web page from scratch. It is going to be awesome. So we'll implement this with using the Azure OpenAI, where we'll generate the keys and the endpoints, and we'll simply build a simple React app, and will create the bot, and in that bot we'll added the prompts, and according to the prompt it will generate our static website source code. And so we'll get a full end-to-end understanding from AutoGen concept to practical implementation on Azure. By the end of this tutorial, you will know exactly how to build your own AI agent that can collaborate, generate code, and automate tasks using Microsoft AutoGen. So grab a cup of coffee, get ready to the code, and let's dive into this exciting world of agentic AI with Microsoft AutoGen. Alright, before we jump into the demo, let's first understand what Microsoft AutoGen actually is. So in simple terms, AutoGen is an open source framework developed by Microsoft that make it super easy to build LLM based multi-agent applications where multiple AI agents can talk to each other and even to human to solve complex tasks collaboratively. So now let's understand this with very simple example. Imagine AutoGen is a manager in a company. This manager doesn't do all the work alone, but instead assigning a specific task to a team of employees. Each employee has a unique skills. For example, one might be great at writing the code, another might be great at handling the data, and someone might design the interface. So similarly in AutoGen, these employees are like AI agents and the manager is like a controller or coordinator agent that knows how to assign a task and manage communication between them. So when we give AutoGen a complex goal, let's say create a static website, the manager agent will break down the task and assign subtasks to different specialized agents. One might handle generating the HTML, another could write the CSS, and then they collaborate to complete the full project all automatically. The best part is that AutoGen handles all the communication, reasoning, and coordination logic between these agents behind the scenes. You just need to define the roles, give them goals, and AutoGen takes care of the rest. So basically, this framework is built on top of large language model LLMs like GPT models, and it provides APIs that helps developer to easily define how these agents interact, where it's an human to agent conversation or agent to agent workflow. So in short, AutoGen is a powerful tool that allows developer to build collaborative task oriented AI systems quickly without worrying about the complex communication logic. Think of it's creating a team of smart assistants that works together and get things done for you. So now that we know what Microsoft AutoGen is, so let's understand why we should actually use it. The AutoGen ecosystem provides everything you need to create powerful AI agents, especially when you are working with multi-agent workflows. It's not just a library, it's a complete toolkit that includes a framework, developer tools, and pre-built application templates to help you to get started fast. Under the hood, AutoGen follows layered and extensible design. This means each layer has a specific responsibility and every layer builds on and top of the one below it. This makes the framework modular, flexible, and easy to customize depending on our project needs. So now let's look at the main reason why developer prefers AutoGen. The number one, that is, it supports multi-agent orchestrations. which means it allowing multiple AI agents to communicate and collaborate efficiently. Number two, it reduces complexity, which means in managing prompts and context, so you don't have to manually handle long reasoning loops or memory management. And number three, it supports so you can use different large language models, including Azure OpenAI, OpenAI's GPT models, or any custom LLMs. So in short, AutoGen saves time, simplifies complex workflows, and helps you to build intelligent systems that manage themselves with minimal efforts. And the best part using AutoGen, it's super simple. You can install it directly using Python by just using this command, and that's it. With a single command, you are ready to start building AI agents and exploring the world of agentic AI. So that's why AutoGen is becoming one of the most exciting and developer-friendly framework for building next-gen AI applications. So now it's time for the most exciting part, that is demonstration. So let's quickly jump into the VS Code where I have already set up the project. Now I have designed the implementation a little bit different to make it simple and easy to understand. The main idea behind this demo is to create a small bot agent that can generate a static website based on the prompt that we gave. So basically, I will provide a prompt to the bot agent, something like create a basic portfolio website or web page using HTML and CSS. Then, according to the prompt, the agent will automatically generate the source code for that web page. On the front end side, I have created a simple interface using React instead of directly running Python script. I have set up a Node.js backend to handle all the logic and communication. From the backend, I am using API calls using Azure OpenAI service. This includes adding the endpoint development name and the API key that we will use to communicate with our AI agents. For the AI part, I have used Azure OpenAI through the Azure Foundry Studio. So where we will deploy our model. Once everything is set up, then we'll integrate both the front end and back end together, bringing everything under one single workflow. To summarize, the flow look like React front end, Node.js which is in backend, and Azure OpenAI API, then communicate with AutoGen agent and generate a static web page source code. So now let's quickly switch over to the VS Code where I'll first show you the front end code and how the interface look like, and then we'll move to the Azure portal where I'll walk you through how to create the Azure OpenAI app service from scratch and then connect everything together for a full end-to-end demo. So let's get started with the demonstration. So for the front end, I have created one app. In the app.js, I have written the code where I have created two functions. The first function is to send the message, and the second function is to once the source code is generated, then we'll simply click on that download website, then the source code will be downloaded to our system. So that's why I have created the two function. One is for send message and second is for the download website, and I have written the code where I'll show you how it look like. So for that, let's do npm start, and once everything is compiled, then let's quickly go to the UI. Will look like this, where we have created the website builder AI bot, where we will enter the prompt and just send it to the agent, and we'll see how the front end and back end communication will happen and how the response will come on the UI. According to our prompt, how this web page will be getting generated using this Azure OpenAI service. So let's quickly go to the Azure portal where we will create this Azure OpenAI service, and then we'll try to integrate everything, and then we'll see how the communication will work. So once we log into the Azure portal, then we will be navigating to this landing page or the home page or the dashboard of the Azure portal, where we will see all the listed services. But if we want, we can search the specific Azure AI service using this global search that I have already covered in my previous videos. If you want to see, you can check it out my previous videos. So before we creating this Azure OpenAI service, we have to create the resource group, which is mandatory to create any specific or any service in Azure. So let's first create the resource group. So once we click on this resource group button, then we'll be navigating to this page. So let's simply click on the create button, and where we will the subscription that I'm using, that is pay as you go. But if you are using for the first time, that we will get the free trial subscription, so you can use that for the demo or the understanding purpose. So we'll give the name for the resource group, that is TA, and then we'll use this region. We'll not change anything, so we'll keep the default setting as is, and let's simply click on preview plus create. It will validating the details, and let's simply click on create button. So now you can see our resource group is created. Now let's go to the home and let's click on this Azure OpenAI service. But if you are not seen on the screen, then you can simply search over here OpenAI, and then this OpenAI will be filtered. And in that, once we click on this, then we'll be navigating to this AI Foundry page. So basically, this Azure AI Foundry is a unified enterprise grade platform for Microsoft to build to help developers to explore, deploy, and manage generative AI applications. Here we will get the two options. We can create this Azure AI Foundry. Once we click on this create button, Azure AI Foundry, which is recommended for this creating the demo purpose, and second option, that is Azure OpenAI. We'll use this one, or either you can use the first one where we have to create the projects and assign the project to that service. So we'll use this Azure OpenAI options, where I will use, or I will select the resource group that we have just created, that is TA OpenAI demo, and the region will keep the same as it's. Then we'll give the name for the service. We'll give TA AI, and then we'll use the pricing tier, which is a standard one, that is standard is 0. And you get, if you want, you can simply click on this view full pricing details, where you will get all the details and how the pricing will be calculated. You will get all the details, where once we click on this view full pricing page, we'll be navigating to the next page where we will get all the details according to that. But we'll not cover that in this video. I will create a separate video for this. So once we added everything, then let's simply click on the next. And in the networking, we'll select the radio, that is the default one, that is all networks includes the internet can access this resource. But if as per the requirement, you can switch these radios. And we'll simply click on tags. We don't need to add anything over here. Let's simply click on review plus create. It is validating the detail that we enter, and once everything is done, then let's simply click on create button. You can see the initializing deployment is started, which is on right corner, and you will see the detail status. You can see the deployment is in progress, and it will take some time for the deployment. And once that is done, then we'll be navigating to the overview page of this Azure OpenAI service. So now deployment is completed. So let's simply click on go to resource. Then we'll be, as I mentioned, we'll be navigating to this overview page of this created Azure service. Here you can see all the details. You can see the resource group is mapped to this service, then the status, location, the subscription, and all the details. And in that, we have to copy the key and endpoints to map this with the backend to communicate with the front end, backend, and this Azure service. So we'll see the key and endpoints in this section. In the resource management, there is one option on the side menu, key and endpoint, where we have to copy these endpoints and key. We'll see this later. So as I mentioned, this we have to use this Azure AI Foundry. Basically, it's used for developer to use the tools for the deployment and everything. So that's why there is a specific tool or the portal. So you can see the options. You can simply click on this go to Azure AI Foundry portal. Once we click, then we'll be navigating to this new portal, where you can see on the home. Once we click on this, we will be navigating to this page, where we will newly created uh, OpenAI service will be listed over here. If you have not created, we can simply create using this portal also. So once we click on this service, we'll be navigating to this page, where we will get all the details that we see on this overview page. So now let's understand what actually happens when we deploy a model inside Azure AI Foundry, and why this steps is so important. So when we go to this Azure AI Foundry portal and create a deployment, which is available inside the side menu, you can see there is an option called deployments. So which means we are providing a dedicated environment for our selected models, for example GPT-4 or GPT-35 Turbo, or any other model we choose. So behind the scenes, Azure AI Foundry takes care of all the heavy lifting for us. It signs up with necessary infrastructure, allocate compute resource, and securely hosted the models so that we can interact with using a simple API calls. So imagine when we deploy a model, we'll be converting that model into a ready to use service endpoint, just like deploying the app on the server. So what happens? So that once the deployment is completed, we'll get a few important things. That is, number one, the endpoint URL. We can communicate with that environment. So with the help of this URL is unique when our model lives. You will use this in our backend or front end app to send the request. Then the deployment name, a friendly name for the model instance that identifies which model configuration that we are using, and the API key, a secure access key that authenticate our app when communication with deployed model. So all these details are required for our model in case the AutoGen agent can connect to deploy the model securely and start generating the response efficient. So let's start by deploying this model. So deploy model and click on this deploy base model, where we will see the list of models. In that we have to select the specific model. So let's search GPT-35 Turbo. We'll use this one. So let's simply click on this radio and let's confirm the selection. Once that is done, then it will loading all the details. You can see the deployment name, that is GPT-35 Turbo, deployment type, that is standard, and all the details. So let's simply click on deploy. Once the deployment is done, then it will generate the target URI and the key. So let's copy the key and go to our backend code and simply replace the API key over here. And you can see the deployment name that I have already added, that is GPT-35 Turbo, and follow these steps and create this agent. But we have already created, so we have to use this, or we have to copy this endpoint and key, and we'll again go to this endpoint where we will copy this endpoint here, and the API version will get this from here. I will only copy the required details because I have already prepared the backend, which is in Node. So now let's quickly go to the front end and let's try to run everything. So let's go to the VS Code and let's start our backend code. So let's do Node.server.js. You can see our server is running on the localhost 5000, and let's again go to the front end side and just give the prompt. So I'll open this in inspect mode to see the network calls. So now I have prepared two prompts. One is for will create a simple portfolio web page, and second is for this historic, or the history related to this AutoGen information page. For that I have already prepared one prompt. So let's copy this prompt and let's paste this in this input box, and let's simply click on send. You can see the API is getting called, that is chat, and you can see the status. So we have already created this chat API in the node, and you can see the payload that we sent, and we got the response. So you can see we'll get this source code. So now let's simply click on this download and generate a website button, and you can see the website.html page is getting created. And once we click on this open file, and you will see a nice portfolio is created that I have added this. Hi, I have 20 years of experience and expertise in cloud data and related technologies about me, the projects, and everything that we added in the prompt. So again, let's try to copy the second prompt. So let's go here and let's copy this one, go here, let's reload this one more time, and then let's paste the second prompt, and you can see still is in pending. Once the source code is generated, we'll get the response, which is automatically mapped like this. We can either copy this one or simply click on this download and generate the website, and you can see the website is getting downloaded. This HTML file, once we click, we will get. So introduction, what is AutoGen, then the historical timeline, key features, how it works, and frequently asked questions. So that's all about Microsoft AutoGen, an open source framework by Microsoft that lets you to create your own AI agents and use them whenever you need, depending on your requirements. With AutoGen, you can build agents that handle all sort of tasks, from generating a static web page, automating your to-do list, to optimizing complex workflows, all through simple, intelligent collaboration. We also saw how easily you can deploy your model using Azure AI Foundry, connect them through endpoints, and integrate everything into your application. It's truly simple to use and powerful in real world scenarios. So in this tutorial, I took a slightly different approach, instead using Python script. Like most examples online, implemented this using React and Node.js. This helps you to understand how this Azure OpenAI service works under the hood, how endpoints are created, how deployment expose the model, and how agents interact through API. So let's do a quick recap what we covered in this video so far. We started by understanding what Microsoft AutoGen is, how it works internally, and why it is becoming so powerful. Then we discussed why to use AutoGen, including its ecosystem, design layer, and how it supports multi-agent orchestrations. Then next we moved to the hands-on demo, where we exploring the front-end and back-end setup. And we also went through how to set up the Azure OpenAI service, created a resource group, and deploy the model to connect the endpoint and key to our app. And finally, we tested by sending two prompts, one for portfolio website and second is another for an AutoGen information page, and watched our agent automatically generate complete static web page. So in this way, you can easily create and customize your own AI agents and use them as per your project needs, whether it's for web automation, task generation, or intelligent system workflows. So if you found this video very helpful, then make sure to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And as I always say, keep learning, happy coding, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a great day.